All right, brought to you by Curious Marineland. So here we go. Let's look at this. Actually, let's come back to this and look at this. Do you remember this?
Yes.
All right. What's the difference between the bottom one and the other two?
The bottom one uses energy.
Bottom one uses energy. The whole focus of this next unit is to talk about how we use this energy and how it's generated. So let's watch this one. And I showed this to you before, but I think this, what we want to do is like, hey, all right, okay, there's flash of energy hit, and it allows for something to happen. Ultimately, the source for life to function on the cellular level is chemical energy. And what we're going to do is talk about how you make this chemical energy, how you use it. And then we're going to tie it into cell respiration and photosynthesis. So first thing, I'm going to be doing a lot of models, and this is going to be the real thing, and this is going to be just the convenient double that's not to scale. So, like, see, there's glucose. See how big glucose is? This is ATP. So let's identify it. There's a nitrogen base. There's a sugar. It's actually ribose. Later on, we'll talk about deoxyribose and ribose sugar for DNA and RNA. But can you see 1, 2, 3? You see that? Okay, that's a phosphate. So this is adenosine with 3 phosphates. Now this is how you transfer energy. If you watch the animation in a second, you saw that flash of energy. Watch this. We take this off. I'm going to do it like this. See, this is an unstable bond, those 3 of the phosphates. And that unstable, what do you want to do if you're in the chemistry world? If you're unstable, you want to get stable. So it releases this. But when it does that, it transfers energy. So now this is adenosine with 2 phosphates. Okay? So really what we've just looked at, and then I'm going to talk about why I use this in a second. So we've looked at basically what's called ATP and ADP. So here's the full spelling. So let's get that down in our notes. Just going to pause while we copy down some of the notes, and we'll come back to it. So as you look at the model, and you've copied down what ATP is and ADP, before we draw the cycle, I'm going to show you an example. Now, so look, A1, 2, 3, adenosine triphosphate. But to save a little time, and when I'm throwing these models, because around when we're doing all our demonstrations, I'm not going to be throwing this. Take a look. How many green things do you see? 3. So obviously, this is not to scale, but let's assume this is ATP. 1, 2, 3, adenosine triphosphate. Energy. Every time you see me demonstrating, you see this, all right, bam, imagine that's a transfer of energy. Okay? That's a transfer of energy to whatever's going to be energized. Okay? So, that's adenosine diphosphate. That's adenosine triphosphate for all of our future demonstrations. Again, knowing that the actual model looks like this, when we transfer energy, it's one of these phosphates comes off. Right? And if you look at this picture, not this one, this one, see if you can remember this little blast from the past here. This is energy, ATP being used. When you actually use it, you see now ADP, and there's the phosphate. Everything can be accounted for. Unlike the federal government, everything can be accounted for. All right. If you've done a reaction and you just used ATP, you should see an ADP there. You should see a ADP that was energy that was just used. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at the cycle. Come back here, and we'll talk more about this. So this is probably one of the most important coupled reactions for life to happen, function on our planet, on the cellular level. Okay? Life wouldn't function. So if you look at it like this is ATP being used, this is ATP being generated. What we're going to learn is there's reactions that make ATP. There's reactions that use it. It's called cellular work. This reaction right here, this one is really what we're going to focus on with this unit. This is, again, an overview of energy. By the way, which one of the cell theories is this really are we demonstrating here?
Energy flow.
Energy flow. So that's really, and we're going to talk about cell respiration and photosynthesis as they combine. And so, again, just imagine some part of photosynthesis, the light reaction, or cell respiration, breaking down glucose to get this. That's really what the big picture is. So we're going to talk about cell respiration and photosynthesis. The title of this would be either cell energy or the energy of life. Okay? So I'm going to basically let you copy the rest of that, and then I'm going to show you a student demo after you're done copying that. All right, so we have a molecule represented by Devin here. All right, and this is again ATP. Here's the nitrogen base. Here's the sugar, and these are the things we want to focus on. 1, 2, 3. So this ATP loses it, so now this ADP, but this P, it's phosphate, transfers to the molecule that needs to be energized. Now, this is kind of the scale. Basically, when this attaches, the energy that came from the ATP gets transferred to M. We actually, in AP Bio, they learned that it's called phosphorylation. There. Now, to make it a little bit easier, we're going to use this. This is not to scale. So imagine this. Energy. Every single time one of these pops, there's a transfer of energy. He was more animated last time. And it's going to be there as long as the energy is there, and then when it's used up, it drops off. And now we have this that will be later used to, say, make some ATP during cell respiration. All right? So, oops, didn't work. All right, so he's energized, and he's doing this, and cell respiration generates a whole bunch. Oh, here, you can hang on to that and just keep dancing. Cell respiration generates a lot of this, or technically what the full model looks like. But for all of our demonstrations, I'll probably be throwing these around at people, and it's easier to throw that than to throw this. So, all right, so that's ATP. One last thing. Let's go back to this. This is the most important biochemical reaction for life to be able to function on this planet. That sounds bold. That's on the chemical level, though. All right, on the cellular level. So now let's look at cell respiration and photosynthesis in a little bit greater detail.